with other things you find, that'll help resolve that. Only part way it leaves this much unresolved, and this is what they're talking about doing. So the hyperscope can actually, you can actually point to things linguistic. So you click on this link, you see right that exactly the passages that came out. Not just saying that that book and that article.
But you can. So you can like argument.
Yes. Right. You can just pick out exact passages that are the real elements, central elements of what you have to resolve in order to find out what's the more probable hypothesis or plan or explanation.
And what do you mean by symbols?
Well, you look at a page. Each letter is a symbol. Each word is, each sentence is, each paragraph, the symbolic structures that represent conceptual things in your head. So the way you can get them to be more powerful so they can carry more coherent, larger hunks of knowledge and show relationships between them, etc. Anyway, it's sort of like in mathematics. You have these segments of things that an equation that this is equal to this, and there's all special symbolic structures that the mathematicians have learned how to use and construct and manipulate. And you said, well, I'd like to learn quickly how I can reverse this, change this, move this like this, or I'd like to learn more quickly how I go and really assess whether they really are equal by going back to the reasoning, etc.
What is the main difference between augment and the hyperscope?
The hyperscope
because I feel that it sounds very much.
Okay, hang on, I'm going to pause because that one we don't need to. Okay. I know how to take a hint.
No.
It doesn't have to be that close up.
Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close up.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm stuttering. It feels as if there are a lot of similarities between augment and the hyperscope. What are the differences?
Oh. In the first place, the hyperscope is one that says instead of only being able to interlink and jump around and view augment files, now I can do it to many other types of files, which is one. And also while I'm making all those views, etc., I can record them. So it's just doing part of what augment can do on many types of files. Just the reading and jumping and linking and the maneuverability.
Files, what do you mean by files? Like web pages, new documents,
yes,
emails,
Word documents, PowerPoint files,
everything.
JPEG.
And how would it? How do I see it on my if I would have the hyperscope on my screen computer? What would it look like?
Well, if you have chances for looking at it with quite a few views. So one of the views you could see, I could scroll through it just like a web page does. Otherwise I could say, show me only the first lines of every paragraph. That's the paragraph I want. Jump and open it up.
Would there be in different windows as well?
You could.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe it would be appropriate to state that first the hyperscope will be viewed through a web page.
Would it?
The initial hyperscope is designed to be a web-based intermediary, right?
Well, that's all it's just called, a web-based intermediary, but
initially users would use their web browsers.
no, it's just that the views it's converted so that you can see it with a browser.
Right.
But you can see all these different views and jump, etc. So the browser has to have these extended sort of way of controlling.
Right, but I mean, when I sit down to use the first version of the hyperscope, I will sit down and launch a web browser, right? That's the actual application that I'll use.
No, it has to be a modified.
Even the first version will not.
Well, it has. How are you going to control?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes.
what I meant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you put? What if somebody wants to put an interface on there that's just not doing something?
I will tell you why we cannot, and then I will tell you why we maybe can, despite that.
Mm-hmm.
The web browser itself interprets your keys. I cannot add a Control-C or something like that. It won't allow us to do that. However, we can, like you have in your SparkStation version of Augment, maybe have a toolbar where you type your command in.
Mm-hmm. That's what Darai is assuming.
Yeah, so good, we're on the same wavelength. I mean, Darai has been communicating with us quite a lot on this. But, I mean, this is the reason that I called the Hyperscope test that we're doing a prototype, and that we're throwing away all the code for this. This is not in any way, there won't be anything here to give Darai. Because it's trashy, quick code. It's badly done.
The concept of...
Yeah, we're developing the concepts, and we're saying, okay, now that this pop-up menu
Why
works.
couldn't you have the whole command bar that way too?
Oh, that is exactly something we're going to try to do. We're going to keep developing these, because we can do it quickly and cheaply. I mean, you're talking about a large amount of money to do the real Hyperscope. We're talking about maybe a couple $100. I just paid $1,500 to have the new version of our blog system ready,
Mm-hmm.
which has no real hyperblog functionality, but it's finally ready to receive them. This is one way it can receive them.
So, what is it in your browser that does the response of clicking on something? Where's the code actually residing?
Let's look at the source. We are looking at
Is that
sorry. What we have here is
does
this is
every
the,
browser have the capability of portraying something like that that's sensitive? If you click on it, it'll
oh yeah.
do its thing.
I mean, let's copy the URL. It's basically JavaScript and CSS. Those are the two browser front-end control mechanisms to send it back.
What do you mean front end? They're sent. How do they get into your browser?
I think I can answer your question by showing you the process. On this page, the user, us, we enter a URL into the browser.
Okay,
And that's a complete URL. And when I click
wait, but I want to know where's the program running?
the entire program, I'll tell you what happens when I click the refresh button.
Mm-hmm.
When I click that button, that browser sent a command to our server to go and fetch that document and to put it in an intermediary file format.
But how does the browser have the code in it that knows what to do with that click?
Now that that's JavaScript, and I'll show you the JavaScript there.
That still doesn't.
It takes what the way that our hyperblog works is it takes if my hand here represents the HTML in the original document,
Mm-hmm.
then it takes its own JavaScript and inserts it into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it presents that to the new browser document.
Okay, so that modifies the browser.
Does that whole thing just for the word modifies?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't modify the browser. It modifies the document that's served to the browser. Oh yeah, that's an important.
No, the document has nothing alive in it.
Yeah, it does. It's got the JavaScript.
Well, that's a program now that belongs to you. That's executable by your browser.
Either way, we understand each other now.
I think so.
Okay, I think you understand each other now.
Okay.
People have been telling me that there were things like that that could automatically be down, What's the term they use sometimes for?
Oh, hang on a second. This is very important distinction here. Java, you mean actual Java code and all that stuff? What all this does is take the only added stuff we put on this page.
Yes, the pop-up.
Yeah, it's the fun. It doesn't do any processing whatsoever.
No, when you say it doesn't.
The web browser does not do any processing. All it does is it takes, in this case, the word fleur and show only paragraphs with fleur.
So it's just pre-programmed.
It takes those two things together, sends it to the server now, and then the server gets the page back with that result.
Yeah, it sends it to the server. It's
Yeah.
the dynamic action going on in this.
Yeah, it's a time-shared environment.
Okay, it's a clever thing, but I think if you really got literal, anyway.
Of course.
But I'm pleased to know that, and that if Durai thinks about adding toolbar onto the browser, well, hell, that could all be under control in the same sense by the intermediary browser.
That's right. I mean, I have that right here. This is a toolbar. If I understand you correctly, then that's what we have in the lower left-hand corner of our blog. Because you click on commands here, and it changes everything that goes on here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can choose which ones I'm showing, which ones we're not showing.
See, in any event, all of the jumping and viewing has to be executed back by the intermediary.
Yes.
Right. So, how does that intermediary get the information? So, if it's essentially in control of the toolbars, that's terrific.
Yeah, I mean, one example of that is I'm now clicking on the subject of a blog entry, and it hosts it to the top of the screen, right, as you know from before.
Mm-hmm.
But that has to be known. The problem here is either, and I know you're familiar with this problem, this is not anything new to you, either we put a lot of intelligence in processing in the form of Java or something similar in the browser itself, or we do all that on the server.
Oh, I think it's a terrific idea to put it on a server. That, boy, that just, well, let's see, what's the difference? They have things that the user doesn't have to know that something's been sent down and there's now a new addition to its browser.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just does it on a transient basis, every page.
Yeah, the benefits of it being on the server is that you never have to worry about versioning. Apart from if a view changes when the new server update, that has to be encoded, of course. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. The only negatives of having it on the server is a slight difference in interaction speed in some instances.
It'll be a little bit slower this way.
Yeah, slightly slower.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Slower having things on the server.
Don't know.
Oh yeah, you have to be online. Duh. Those are the two. And that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really happy to be able to show you that pop-up menu. It is such a big deal in my little geek world.
That's great.
Oh, did you get on tape saying that's great this time?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, good.
Jeez.
So now we'll go back and change it and have it seamlessly integrated into the environment. Yeah, it's quite thrilling actually. But this is kind of what we talked about earlier, and I know you had your answer, but this is what the page looks like now. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. What's the ID? What elements are we talking about? I can't even pretend to read this. Okay, Fleur, this is very important you record, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Var A equals arguments, comma, P equals A, hard bracket, 0, hard bracket, end. Comma, PX equals IS, capital NS, 4 LLISOP, question mark. This is Shakespeare. I want to know what happens in the third act. Okay, so now this is just a layout, CSS, that's easy. Oh, this is great. He has really, Mikhail too, or Mike as we're referring to him, Fleur. You look at the way he's commented this. Figure out the mouse coordinates. If we set up tracking, call the position. Pull compulsory information out of the tip arrow. Alright. Well, that's very good. It's going to help a lot of other people, right?
So all that text has to be sent over.
Every time. Oh yeah, I'm still in the header.
Boy, that's so up to here was.
No, still. We haven't actually gotten to the document yet. So I would say in this case...
That'd be such a laughable idea in the good old days when 9600 baud was really something, and then what?
In this document, as an example, less than 10% is actual content.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very well commented, and that probably takes up a lot of bandwidth. Cool. So that's the prototype. Hope you're happy. We'll keep building and demoing it for you.
I think we've sang for our dinner. I said, I think we've sang for our dinner.
Well, sang for dinner.
Are you hungry now? What would you like for dinner? Out of everything in the whole world?
Tacos.
You're such an expensive date.
What did she say?
Tacos.
Tacos. Oh. I know a genuine Mexican restaurant.
Really? Where's
You know
that?
a Mexican? Illegal or illegal?
A genuine
Why don't we get a
Mexican
taxi?
restaurant.
You joining us for dinner today?
Okay?
Yeah?
If we don't take too long.
Don't worry, I've got work to do.
And, the older you get, the less time you fool around. You want to just eat.
No, tell me about it.
You too. God, stuck in the middle. I feel like the only sane one. I'm mature. Really mature. I'm maturer than anybody.
Well, you want a record of my saying, hey, even if she is so old, she's sure a knockout.
Oh yeah, thank you.
See?
Okay. Quiet. Did you film? What is this? Yeah?
Just testing. Why don't you sit down and play? Asking you really nicely.
I doubt it. Don't play.
Why don't you sit down and fiddle?
I wish I could.
I'm filming a new documentary. Birth of an Old Woman.
I was on.
If we're going to use this, that's we goes in the car. So you sick of these guys yet? I think he was sick of us before we landed.
How's the birthday girl doing?
She's not so well, she's old now.
Did you get my email?
Yes, thank you. I wish you back.
Oh, you did? I didn't see.
Well, I was just thinking that we could have maybe dinner tomorrow, but you invite some girlfriends because I'm tired of hanging out with guys all the time.
Girlfriend?
Before that, they just had a knife and a rock. Yeah. And the food slid off the rock. Okay, so they invented the knife. You know?
Yeah, he does.
Chewing.
Several ingredients: carbonated water, sugar, citric acid, natural flavor, caramel, color, sodium, and the natural flavors. Maybe that's why it's okay.
It's flavored by mud. Mud is not bad. It's good stuff.
Alcohol or natural flavor.
Used to be whole meal.
Alcohol, natural
We used to work together a long time ago.
That's
Had
not
a design advertising agencies.
Ready?
Water's a
Very
natural.
much. It's her birthday today, so we have to make very nice things for her.
Sure, of course.
What do you order? Your firm specifically?
We have our specialty is sopitos. Sopitos are tiny little pieces, like they're like sopes. I don't know if you ever tried sopes.
Tortillas, carbonated
No. Oh, churro rellenos, they're also very good.
I can't stop.
No.
So really distracting.
Except take your time.
I'll try your steak.
Take the go.
Now everybody knows it's your birthday.
Hey, my friend,
The carnitas?
my friend, look, one
Yeah, we have to get better.
beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, this smells really good.
Yeah, she sprayed stuff on it.
No, it didn't.
That's like what they do with Christmas trees. Okay.
The carnitas?
Carnitas?
Oh, this comes with rice and beans.
Yes, and turkey.
We also get a coke.
I did.
Anticipation. Waiting for you to speak.
What I would like something with a lot of guacamole and some sour cream sauce and cheese and not much else. Maybe some beans. Beans, cheese, guacamole and sour cream sauce in something.
What about seafood? Shrimp? Chicken? Vegetarian? Okay.
Bean, cheese, guacamole, sour cream.
actually. Maybe have a bit of chicken.
That's why you're talking about being
Chicken breast, like grill on the.
Yeah, the grill's nice. In is a burrito the big pancake stuffed thing that you
Yeah,
bought?
that's why we were talking about
Okay, I'll have it.
Ian said, I
Yeah,
asked
okay,
Ian
then you
what
wanna-
he thought
Super burrito.
might be. He said, well, John.
That has rice in it as well.
Right.
No rice.
No rice.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Well done.
Feel that.
What should I have? What's my
Started out as a simple guacamole, then it turned into
something different from what they want?
Josh was in the class.
What about churrasco?
I have no idea what it is, so yes, please. That sounds good.
They're on sour cream. They're from top with sour cream.
Okay.
Okay, churrasco.
And some seafood stuff, what do you recommend there? Some shrimp dish?
We have this party platter right here that comes with a lot of variety of seafood.
Oh, that's a lot of, you know.
It's like a party platter.
Yeah, you're not in a seafood mood, that's so weird. Okay, no seafood for the ladies, so that's no point.
Okay.
So, okay, anything else we should share? We got enough here. Yeah, we have enough? We have enough, do you think?
Yes, I think it's enough.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Write down on 101, we're taking the first leg. Yeah. You know the little shopping center right way down there? You start
So he's another dog.
really good restaurant.